Assalamu alaikum. Let's cook.
The number one offender type is biological fathers, but by far it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men.
Okay, you heard Tim Tebow, and that's one of your best. Violating little people. Now let's get into some American man history. The Tennessee Boys Farm. Now people, this place was in the hills of Winchester, Tennessee. It's called the Tennessee Boys Farm. Now there was a so-called man of God running this place, and it was supposed to be for homeless and wayward boys. He had a priest collar on. He spoke about charity and compassion. People trusted him with their children. His name was Reverend Claudius Bud Vermilye Jr. Now, I'm just going to call him Reverend Bud. Okay? I'm going to call him Reverend Bud. Now, this Mayo monster, man of God, charlatan, was running one of the most organized child exploitation operations in American history. He was also connected to a network that reached all the way to Lake Michigan, North Fox Island, which we just covered in the past. Now, most Americans never heard of this dude, Reverend Bud Jr. right here. And Americans are such hypocrites that if they heard of him, they'll act like they never did anyway. Now, Reverend Bud, this guy was an ordained Episcopal priest. He was a seminary graduate. He had credentials. He was somebody in the community. He was somebody in the church. His name meant something. And he had been operating this place called Boys Farm, Inc., which is located in Franklin County, Tennessee, for 4 to 5 years before the investigators started to come in. On paper, this place, Boys Farm, Inc., was a home for wayward and homeless boys, a charitable mission to provide shelter, structure, and guidance to children who had nowhere to go. Now, this facility was not officially sponsored by the Episcopal Church, but this guy, Claudius Bud, Reverend Bud, he was so deep in and trusted that he could get anything that he wanted. Imagine a white priest going around smiling, saying he wants to collect money for poor and homeless boys with nowhere else to go. People are throwing all kinds of paper at him. All across the USA, he's getting funds. And he presented himself to the outside world as a man doing God's work with children who had nowhere else to go. All a lie. Behind closed doors at this Tennessee Boys Farm, Reverend Bud was running a sophisticated criminal enterprise. Sick. When he got the boys into this spot, people, the first thing he would do is he would show them obscene films in order to, desensitize and manipulate them. He would show them all kinds of films and nasty stuff. Then he would give them liquor. This would lower their resistance, getting them open and stuff like that. And then he would encourage these boys, and he would tell them what to do and make them do sexual acts with each other and stuff like that. And he would film it with a hidden camera. He would film it. And the resultant films and photographs were sold to a network of paying sponsors. So just imagine, he's got all kinds of cameras set up. He's got these boys in there doing nasty stuff to each other. They're drunk. They don't have nowhere else to go. Now, this is another situation where these guys filmed things, took professional style photos, and sold the material. He actually had subscribers, okay? You notice when these guys get caught, people, you ever notice, like when you hear about it now in the news or whatever, they have like all kinds of material. You like, why would somebody have 15, 20,000 pictures, 7,000 videos? That's part of being a pedo. That's what they do. They always have these things because they share it amongst their network. They charge fees. They got all kinds of stuff, people. This guy, Reverend Bud, had men all across the country who paid for access to this material. And some of these sponsors, they didn't just pay for the films. They didn't just pay for the pictures or the subscriptions. They would come into the farm in person, just like North Fox Island. So these guys would subscribe. They would see the little guys do things in the videos and pictures, and they would want to do things with them. They would actually get on a plane, get in the car to go be part of it. Disgusting. And the torture of these boys went on year after year. He operated this place from 1971 to 1976. This is all he did there. All the boys that came in there took part in this. He said it was a place of God to help boys who had nowhere to go. That's not what it was. Imagine that 5 years straight. This is all he did to boys. And of course, he did things himself and stuff like that. Now, how was this place finally taken out? How was Reverend Bud and the Tennessee Boys Farm finally busted? U.S. mail again. Remember, people, no emails, no internet. So all of these things were done through the U.S. mail. The local authorities received information that solicitations for contributions and photographs originating from Reverend Bud's Boys Farm had appeared in homosexual publications and pornographic magazines. So an investigator secured a search warrant. Then they ran up in the spot. Ran up in there, kicked the doors down. What did they find? Well, just like North Fox Island in Michigan, Lake Michigan, a list, a national network of white American men who were all involved in this. Okay? These are men who seek pleasure from the abuse of these children at this boys' farm. This was a very well coordinated, multi-state criminal enterprise, all operating through coded, classified advertisements. Remember, people, these magazines, remember back in the day when the internet wasn't there yet? Some people won't even ever understand this. Some of the younger, they won't even know. But remember when we didn't have the internet and you would just look at magazines and you would just go to the back and see all those ads. See, these nasty guys, they would put codes and stuff back there in regular magazines, and you know what I mean, so that they could hook up with like-minded people. Now these codes, we wouldn't know them. You wouldn't know them because these would be pedo codes that they knew. Like, oh, okay, there it is. Boom, I got to do this, 1, 2. These are some nasty people, very disgusting networks. You know what I'm saying? Now, what they found, they have a whole list, people, again, Epstien list. A whole list of men who had subscriptions with this Tennessee Boys Farm. Okay? First, they have a bunch of normal, average white guys. There were also so-called the best of their community. Many of these clients and subscribers in this network were politicians, several members of Congress, at least one U.S. senator, high-level state government officials. These guys were all on this list, all facts. Investigators found a card catalog containing the names and addresses of several hundred past and present financial contributors from across the USA. These people don't give a damn about no Epstien list, man. This is all a joke to them. They have these lists that have been out for years, various different places throughout the USA. It's all just buzz. Now, when investigators raided this facility, they found all kinds of developed and underdeveloped photographs of boys, you know, in Reverend Bud's care. They found detailed correspondence between Reverend Bud and his sponsors, people that would send him money that knew what he was doing. They even found correspondence between the boys who were there and sponsors on some like sponsor with child type stuff. You know what I mean? These boys could write back to these grown men who are abusing them and, you know, go back and forth. Nasty stuff. No email. So, you know, they doing this through the mail. Pictures and everything. Now, what finally happened with this guy, Reverend Claudius Bud, whatever? He goes on trial, state of Tennessee. Now, the evidence against him was overwhelming. But what they did is sponsors or guys who had visited the farm, participated in doing things to these boys, purchased materials and stuff like that. They were all brought in as not all of them. Enough of them were brought in as witnesses, and they were offered immunity from prosecution in the state of Tennessee. That's crazy, right? So these witnesses, they brought in several hundred photos as evidence. They described in detail everything they did out there at the boys' farm. You know, they described the acts that they witnessed and things that they participated in. They testified about the correspondence that they maintained with Reverend Bud and the boys there. These guys didn't get arrested. Immunity, people. Now, how sick is that? They know these guys did it. Why do you even need a statement from them? You got everything you need. Everybody on the list, take them down. Nope. So the only person who actually went to jail out of all these men is Reverend Bud, okay? On 3 charges of crimes against nature and 5 charges of aiding and abetting crimes against nature. Now the sentences they imposed on him ranged from 5 to 10 years on the first 3 counts and 10 to 15 years on the remaining 5 counts. Looks like justice, right? Not at all. This guy, Reverend Bud, is supposed to do 105 to 165 years in prison. The judge consolidated that. 25 to 40 years is what it came out to in prison. He didn't do that. And you know what? They don't talk about how much time this guy actually really did in prison, but he didn't even do 20 years. He didn't do 20 years. They know that for a fact. This guy, Reverend Bud, died on June 22nd, 2018, age 89, at his home where he had retired in 1997. So we know he didn't do 20 years. He was clearly released long before serving a sentence, a long sentence. And here's a shocking thing, people. His 2018 obituary actually praised his ministry at the boys' farm and the Episcopal Church as if he never did anything. This is wild. A man who destroyed the lives of children. Everybody knows about it. He went to court. State, local, and federal know about it. He died peacefully at home at age 89. Who started the Tennessee Boys Home? White people. Who subscribed to the nasty publication every month and paid money and sponsored boys and went there to join in the acts of hurting children? White people. Who gave these high politicians, federal, state, these white men a pass and never charged them with any of these crimes so that they can go on with their lives and hurt more small people? Who gave them this pass? White people. Who let Reverend Bud out early? White people. Who never did anything about the list of these thousands of men's names who harm little boys? White people. Easy.